as a CSV file. So that's how your grades will be stored and then be uploaded to the eGrades website. Okay, so it's basically the same format. What we'll be trying to do is we will be trying to process these data. Okay. So if you look at this example, so I have a lot of time you might have a header. This first row is the header. Okay. So header is not information, it's like the name of that category. Like this one is the white percentage. This is Hispanic, Asian, Black, etc. Right? So, and this is the company name up in the front. So if you look at this CSV file in the raw format, how many columns are in here? Can we have a quick vote? This one, please. Why my screen numbering is changed? This one, my numbering is the same, but Zoom decides to renumber everything. So what is how many columns I have? We'll stop the vote here. Everyone who voted in voted for C. There are 6 columns. Why? Because if you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot of us, a lot of us voted for C, which is 7, right? So that's the right answer. So there are 7 columns, and the last one, new line, is treated as the next row of data. You can think each comma indicate like a separator of columns. There are 6 commas. That means there are 7 columns. Okay. And in this class, we provided our students with a tool called CSE 8A CSV.py. Just like the image library, this one give you the functionality to process a CSV file. Let me give you a quick demo of what this one does. Okay, so let me come here. This CSV file is here. The most important one is get CSV. Okay, so give me a file name as a string format. This one would return the CSV file as a list of dictionaries. So this data is a list of dictionaries. Okay, and there are 2 other additional functions. One is called get BLM data. This is the Black Lives Matter data that we use to have a data set about this. And then this is the one that would give you the population of every state. So these are special functions for some of the exercises we have, but this one is the most important one, get CSV. Okay, so let me show you how to use it. In here, you have to import from CSE 8A CSV import asterisk, just like how we use the image. And then I want to read in this tag diversity.csv. So data equals to get underscore CSV. Just give me the name. It's called tag underscore diversities.csv. Okay. And that's it. Now, if I print data, you will see data is a list of dictionaries. Let's run this. Okay. Say Python. Demo.py. Yeah, did I have a typo? Tech diversity, not diversities. Let's run it. So this is what the data looks like. It's pretty messy, right? But if you look at it in detail, first thing you can see, this is the so the whole thing is a list. The whole thing is a list, and the list would have different components. This is the first component of that list. You can see the company is NVIDIA. Hispanic percentage 3.4, white percentage 42.9, black is 1%, Asian 52, and go on. So this first component is a dictionary. And then the second component is for the second company, which is Pinterest, and go down all the way to the company. Then that's the end of the list. Okay. If you look at the dictionary is key value pairs, right? So the first key value pair is the company with NVIDIA. Second one is Hispanic 3.4. And this is true for for each of the dictionary. For the second company, the company is Pinterest, Hispanic 3.7. Basically, if you look at it, in this tag diversity, the first row will be used as the key. The first row will be used as the key for each of the companies. So company is NVIDIA, Hispanic 3.4. So the values in here are the data for that company. So the first row is give you the key information, and then the rest give you the company information. Okay. The other thing I want folks to realize is everything is read in as a string. Like for example, what company name is a string. That makes sense. But for Hispanic, it is 3.4 as a string, not as a value. So if you need to do any math on these data, you make sure you typecast them into a float before you use them. That's what get CSV does. Okay. Any questions about this part? All right. So just call this function to get all the data in a CSV file, and then you can process it. Processing a CSV file is basically processing a list of dictionaries. Okay. Let's look at how to process a list of dictionaries, just as an exercise here. For example, if I have this thing, I read in from a CSV file and I get this weather, let's look at what each of them would give me. Okay. The first thing, weather city. What does this one give me? Oh, I can see error or something. Let's vote in, please. Right. So a lot of us said Chennai, Madison, San Diego. That's incorrect. Unfortunately, exact same error. The first thing you got to realize is whether it's a list. Right? Bottom line, whether it's a list. So you can't use a string as an index into a list. Yeah. So you can see error. You can say whether 0, whether 1, whether 2, that's fine. But you can't use this list as a dictionary. Dictionaries, you can use the key, right? The key can be a string. That's fine. Okay. Be careful in here. Okay. Again, you have to look at this one as a hierarchical structure. Top is a list. Inside the list, you have multiple dictionaries. Okay. Second thing, whether one city, what would I expect? right? So we'll stop the vote in here. What does this one do? So whether one city, a lot of us said A, I think that one looks right. So whether one would give you this thing, this dictionary. And then the next level city would give you medicine. Okay, that's what we have. Any questions? All right, next one. Whether one city, one state. What would you say the answer? You have to be able to step on the ladder. Right, we'll stop the vote. In here, we disagree with each other. A lot of us voted for B, -20, right? One says temperature is -20. We wish the computer are that smart, but unfortunately it's not. I think whether one city would give you this medicine, will give you a string, right? And then you are trying to use Wednesday as the index into that string. That's going to be an error. It doesn't work like that. So whether one would go down the ladder in this region, city would go down in here, and then whatever square bracket you have would be indexed into this string, and you cannot use Wednesday as the index into a string. That's going to be an error. So I hope these exercises would tell you how to process a CSV file from the top level all the way down to the bottom level. Okay. Any questions? How about this one? If we say for row in weather, what is the type of each row? Like I write for row in this weather, what's the type of the row? And that would dictate how you're gonna use it, right? For row in weather. Is it a dictionary, list, key, value, string? All right, we'll stop the vote. We disagree with each other again. So the answer is basically as you go through a list, right? For each of the element in the list, you are looking at the type of each of the element in the list, which is going to be a dictionary. So each row is a dictionary. And then you say for something in each row, then you are looking at that thing is going to be the key, right? So you have to be careful in here. What does this for loop do? It's going to allow you to go through each of the element in this list. And each of the element is a dictionary. It's a dictionary. So make sure you don't make that mistake. Okay. Any questions about this? Okay. Right. Let's look at this one. Make it a bit smaller. Okay. For row in weather, for row in weather, print row city 0. What do you think will be printed out? Please. Right. So let's see. The most popular choice is A, Chennai, Madison, San Diego. Well, again, this row is each of the row is a dictionary, right? If you say row city, that would give you the city name. So it's going to be Chennai, Madison, San Diego. But there's another index 0. This index 0, at this time, this is going to be a string, right? If you index into a string with index 0, you're looking at the 0th character. So it's going to CMS. So the correct answer is C. It's not a string can be indexed, right? A string can be indexed. So the correct answer is C. Okay. Make sure you fully understand the meaning of these like hierarchy structure. I hope you can understand in here. Let me draw it out. So you have a list, right? Inside each list, you have a dictionary. Right? For each of the dictionary, you have a key value pair. You have a lot of key value pairs. And when you say for loop, right? For row in the list, you are at this level now. You are looking at each row represent the dictionary. And for each key, if you use the for each loop on the dictionary, you are looking at for the key, you are looking at the corresponding value. So you are going down the level. The value in this example is a string. And then for this string, you can have different characters. You can say 0th element, first element, and go on. So you can index many, many levels. Okay. So you must fully understand this part. Are there any questions? All right. Let's do a coding challenge. Okay. So write a function that takes a column name and return the name of the company that's the maximum percentage. For example, I say find best here. Okay. It say total female. Which company has the maximum percentage of females? It should return 23 and me. Okay. I think I have the coding challenge here. Find best here. Okay. So can you just do the coding challenge for this one? Okay. If the index is 1, then it's going to print out the second character. Right? So if index is 1 in there, it should print out the second character of these names. It will be HAA. You're correct. All right, so work on this example. Okay. So find best. Define a function called find best. And we'll take a category, for example. Which category are you looking at? This function is supposed to return the name of the company that has the highest ranking in that category. Okay. If you look at 23andMe, that company has the highest percentage of females. So try to finish this exercise. Okay. If you are done, give me a vote, and then we're going to work on it together. Try to finish this exercise. We're given the category. Don't forget, everything is ready as a string. Okay. So if you are looking at the data, you got to be able to cast it into a float. Got all those are decimal values. No line's done yet. Give folks 1 more minute, and we're going to work on this together. Right. Let's just work on this together here. Okay. Looks like we are not able to do this as of now. So for example, I'm assuming that we have access to this data, right? So we'll just first we need to go through each of the dictionaries we have. So for each row in data, this row is a dictionary, right? Now I need to look for this category. I'm looking for the highest. So I'll say highest equals to 0 because I'm looking for the maximum. So I initialize highest with the smallest value, and then result equals to empty. Okay. What I have is this. I need to go through for each row, basically for each company, I need to find this category, right? I'll do this. For this row in this category, right? Because category is a string and the row is a dictionary, so this would give me the value. And don't forget, I need to typecast into a float. Okay. So if this thing is higher than highest, you do not need quotations for this. This is a variable, right? If you use quotations, it means the category name is called a category. This variable would represent whatever category I'm looking at. If the value of this category is higher than the highest, I would say, okay, now I remember you as my highest. Row category. And as a result equals to the company's name. In the end, I'll return result. That's it. So I can print find best, I'll say female. Is it total female or like what's that category's name? Like for example, total female. Let's see what it gives us. Python demo.py. It says 23andMe, but if you say, hey, how about Hispanic? Hispanic. Run this. Apple has the most number of Hispanic, the highest percentage of Hispanic employees, etc. So this is kind of how you look at the category. This category can be used to give you the value. And don't forget to typecast it. You're basically looking for the largest in the column, the largest value in the column. Any questions about this? Right. So this is the first exercise. Okay. Is there a submit button? There's why don't you take a screenshot right now? Let me see if there's a way I think I can save this as a demo. But this one you will not see it. So, let's see. What's the best way for me to share this? Because you've already opened this. If I paste it in here, you are not gonna see it. But just paste it into the Zoom chat. If you need to do this, you can paste it into your repo. Not your repo, your data. That's what we have. Any other questions? All right, so that's the first exercise in here. Okay. Now, we have three more exercises. Okay, so they are all in this coding challenge for this second one. There are three of them. You can work on each of them. Okay, and here's the link. Let's try to work on the first one. We're all working on this get dimension. So write a function that takes a list of dictionaries from CSV file and return the dimension of the file. Like how many rows, how many columns. You should include the header row as the number of rows. Okay, so write this one inside get dimension.py. Okay, so get started. Give me a vote once you're done with this exercise. Work on the first one. Dimension, it shouldn't be too bad. Three minutes in, no one has voted in. If you're done with the first coding challenge, vote in. But given the CSV file, we just need to know its dimensions. Right. Let's work on this together. Then I think it's 4 minutes in already. So you probably need this from CSE 8A CSV import asterisk. You need to read in the CSV file, right? There's a data equals to, just to test, get CSV tag diversity CSV, and then define get dimension. You give me the data, for example. You give me a CSV data. All I need to do is to return as a tuple of two things. How many rows? The number of rows is basically the data that we have, the length of data, right? Because it's a list. And if we include the header row, that's +1. How many columns? Basically how many keys there are per row, and that's it. So if I say print get dimension of data in here, what you will see is Python, this one as well, get dim.py. It's going to tell me there are 26 rows, 25 companies plus a header, 14 columns. There are 14 categories, including the company name and all the categories, minorities. Any questions about this? That's the first exercise. Okay. How do you write a function that would take in the name of CSV file? If you take in the name of CSV file, all you need to do is to say this thing, data equals to get CSV name. That's all. And then you do everything the same thing. It just depends on when you read in the file. Either it's before you call the function or during the function. Any other questions? All right. I think let's take a break. We have two more functions to write. So we'll resume at 12 o'clock. So let's take a break. Huh? All right, everyone. Um, we'll resume. Okay, we'll finish these two exercises, and then we can go over the sample final. And then I think that may be it for today. Okay. So let's talk about the other coding challenges in here. So we want to write the function that takes in the data from tech diversity and calculate the average of people of color percentage for all the companies. So people of color, I think we have a category in here, people of color, like this category, we want to calculate the average of this column, right? So that's what we want to have. So we call this, let me just read in this data here. Copy, paste. It doesn't allow me to copy. Something's not working. Okay, anyhow, it doesn't allow me to even type in here. Refresh it. Okay. So people of color, we're reading this and we say, let's call this function. We call this function define people of color average. And this one, let's say it takes the data and that's it, right? Because we have a very specific category we want to look for. Whenever you have calculate average, you have the total to be 0. And then you just need to add up everything in that column. Which row in data was average plus equals to the value of this category, right? This row is the dictionary, and we're looking at people of color. We add it up, and then we'll just return the average divided by the number of rows. This one doesn't include the header row because in here, once you read in the data as the number of rows, like using the get CSV, the header file, the header row is not there anymore, right? So you just have the number of companies, so length of data. That should be good. Let me print people of color average or passing this one data. And I read the wrong one. So call this one people of color.py. I don't have, let's see, what does this say? Key error, it doesn't have people of color. Does it capitalize? People of color? That looks right. Oh, I think that there's something that got pasted in here. Very interesting. So I think that's why I mess up this file. Now it should work. But that's the average, about 42%. Okay, so this is people of color. You just look at this category, calculate the average of the column. Okay. Any questions about this? The last coding exercise for the entire CSE 8A is this one. So write a function that takes in the data and return the best company for each category. The return value should be a dictionary with the category company, like what company has the best female, overall female? What's the company has the best Hispanic? Right, so find best. I think we can do this. I call this find best. And give me this list of dictionaries. And the idea is you have to return a dictionary, so your result should be an empty dictionary to start with. A lot of times, if I need to return a list, then you got to create an empty list to start with. This one is different because for the previous example we had, we're just finding the best. So there is a question, isn't this the same as before? We used to say, find the best of total female. In here, you have to find the best of all the potential columns. In here, like what's the best for this column? What's the best for this column? You're going to return the result for all the columns. You're going to say, for Hispanic, say Apple is the best. For white, which company is the best? And then for black, for Asian, etc. So we're going to return multiple companies, not just one company for a single category. Okay. So this is what we'll do. Then we'll have to go through each row, as you can see the pattern here. Right? We just need to look at each category. Okay. Now, how do I know which category that I need to look at? So for each category in row, right? So I'm not just looking at a single category, I'm looking at every category. And this category, the only thing that I don't care about is the company name, right? There's no best company name. So I would say if cat is the same as company, right? So if this is a company name, continuous statement would say skip, right? Skip the rest. Don't do anything afterwards. Otherwise, what I will do is I would try to find the best. So I think let's just rewrite this thing. Why not? So now I'm ready to find the best for this category. So it's a highest equals to 0. For each of the companies, so I'll do this. If so for each of the for each row, you know what? Sorry, I think I made a mistake in here. It should be for each category first. For each category, right? If the category is company, I ignore it. I was thinking about the previous example. Now, if this category is not company, I'm ready to take care of it. So my highest equals to 0. Now, for each row in the data, I would start to look for the highest. So if float of row category is bigger than highest, what I would do, I also have to have a name, goes to here. So if I see something bigger than me, I would say highest equals to float row category. And then remember the name. Name equals to this row's company's name. Once I finish this for loop, I figure out which company has the highest value in that category. I'll put it into the result. Result category equals to this name. In the end, I will return result. So if I print find best data, it's going to tell me the name for each category in the dictionary format. Okay. So let's try to run this. Say Python find best.py. Let me see. Did I make a mistake? For each category, let me see. What did I do? For each category in the row. Okay. I think I may have to nest it again. I need to get all the categories. Okay. So let's do this. There's no row in here, so we have to do this one more layer for loop. For each row in data, okay, for this category in that row, and then we have to go through it again. So I think 3 layers. In fact, if we can simply call the function we wrote before on this part, we only need 2 layers. Um, so we have to say for each of the rows, I need to first grab the category, right? I must figure out the category, and this is the way for me to figure out the category. Okay. Once I figure out this category, I should append it in this way. I think I need to, okay, for each of the company, I would take care of this thing. This would give me the highest for that company. Once I finish this category, I think this part should be which level? I think it's for this level, I find out the highest and I need to append it. Okay. And once I'm done with this, I think I only need 1 row. I don't need to do this for every row. I think I can break right over here. Or if there's a easier way, find the best. So for this row in data, I grab, so all I need is the first row, you know. The other way is this thing. This may be too complicated. Let's not do this. A hacky way would be easier. Okay. So I'll do this for row in data 0. I'm just looking at the category. Right? Data 0 would give me the category. If the category is company, that's okay. Otherwise, I'll just go through every row, look for the average. Once I finish this category, I'm done. I think this is better. Okay. Let's run it again. Okay. Now it should work. So for Hispanic, it's Apple. For white, it's HP. For NVIDIA, for people of color, it's NVIDIA. For Asian female, is Mobile Iron. I don't even know if Mobile Iron exists anymore. White female is 23andMe, etc. So this is the idea. Sorry for the confusion. All I need is just 1 row, right? I don't need multiple rows. So from this row, I can figure out all the categories. And then I'll skip the company category. I don't care about which company has the best name. But for everything else in that category, I go through each row, find the highest one, store it in my dictionary. In the end, I'll return the result. Okay. Any questions for this? I'll give everyone this code. So if you want to save it, you can save it. And I think that's it. Those are the 3 coding challenges. The last one is a little bit complicated. But the idea is you have to go through each category and you find the best for that category. So this is the code that, like what we did in the first exercise, find the best in a certain category, except not company. Okay. Any questions about this? Okay, so the remainder time for today will be this final exam review. Okay, so we have the answers to all these questions, but I can share this with you all. Save on the desktop. Okay, so let's work on this together. Okay. I send it into the Zoom chat. Let's work on this exercise together. This is from fall 2021. Okay, but remember, this is a closed book, closed notes exam. How to comment the whole section of code. So there's a question about how to comment the whole section of the code. All you need to do is to say, I have this section of the code. You highlight it, you press Control slash. It's gonna comment this whole section. Press Control slash again. That would uncomment that region. That's what you need to do. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we start to do the exercise? Okay. So let's work on um this exercise together. How about I give you some time, give you a few minutes to look through this exercise, and then in 5 minutes I'll talk about the solutions to each of them. You can also find the solutions on the STEM site. Okay. I'll give you a few minutes to read through the whole thing. In 3 minutes, in 4 minutes, we'll talk about it together. Scan through this exam. Okay. Right. In 2 minutes, we'll talk about these solutions together. Okay. And probably it will take us like maybe 30, 40 minutes to finish the whole exam. Okay. Last minute, then we're gonna look at these problems together. All right, so let's work on this together. Okay. So the first question is about the type of different things. Okay, if there is an error, just say error. First thing, A is an int, right? We can work along together. And then 7 is a string. This is a float. And this is the list. Although it only has one thing, it's a list, right? This is a dictionary. This is the tuple. This overall is a list. So each of the element in the list is a dictionary. If you typecast 3.4 as a string into int, this will give you an error because if you typecast 3 as a string into int, that's fine. But if it's 3.4, it will give you an error. 9 divided by 2, 9 divided by 4 will give you a 2 because of this. This is integer division. What's the type of val? If user enter 42, val will be a string. Just remember, input would read in everything as a string, right? So this is the first exercise. Questions? All right. Okay. Second one, right? So write the output of this code with the baby face. And then for I in range of this, if it's F, you break. If it's B, you continue. So as I go through each of the characters, for I in range of the length, right? Message I would go from 0 all the way to length -1. So basically, if I see B, I would skip this print statement, right? So the first B would allow me to skip, and then see A will print out A. And then see a B again, skip print, and then see a E here. And then see a F. If I see a letter F, I break would get out of this for loop. So the only thing that you output is AE here. So break would get you out of the loop. Continue would allow you to skip the rest of the current iteration. Any questions about this? All right. Next one. Okay. So list all the values generated by the following expressions, like range. What are the values that will be generated in here? So if you have A to B, it will start from A. By default, the step size is 1, but not including the last ending point. So it's 1, 2, 3. For this one, 2, 5, 2, you start from 2. The step size is now 2. So the next thing will be 4. But the next thing will be 6, which is beyond 5. So we'll stop here. So this will be 2, 4. Now from 10 to 4 with the step size of -2, 10, 8, 6, and not including 4, right? So it will stop before the ending point. And 8, 9, 2 will start with 8. The next value will be 10 because the step size is 2. It's beyond 9, so this one will just give you 8. Any questions about this? Slicing? All right. Next thing. So the output, let's just look at this code. You have a list. And for every element in the list, you do something, you print out the list, and then you do the similar things, print out the list again. So it looks like I just need to print out the list, right? That's the output. First thing is for every element in the list, if it is an even number, I will increase it by 2. Just be careful. When you have this kind of for each loop on a list, this kind of thing can't change the list. What that means is when you change E, you are changing the variable E. You are not changing the corresponding data in the list. So when I print out this thing, you're going to see 1, 3, 8, 2. That's what I have. Okay, so there's no change. In here, I'm using the index. So if the ith element is increased by 2, in other words, when I see an odd number, I'll increase it by 2. So the thing would be 3, 5, 8, 2. That's what will be printed out in here. This problem tests if you know the difference between these two versions of looping structure on a list. The first way, in general, you can read through the entire list without any problem. The second approach, in general, is use number one, you'll go through part of the list, or number two, you will potentially go through like change the list, right? So you want to change the list, or you go through maybe only the first half. You can adjust the size in here, right? You can adjust the range, etc. So this is the list and methods. Any questions? If it was print E, if there is a print E inside the for loop, you're gonna see the difference. You're gonna see 1, 3, 10, 4. If you print E in there. But if you print the list is not updated. So if you see print E, it depends on where you print E, right? If you print E in the if, you're gonna see 10, 4. If you print E in the for loop, then it's gonna be 1, 3, 10, 4. Any other questions? All right, next one. What are objects? What are objects? So in this class, we say list, dictionary, tuples, they are objects. String, int, float, boolean, bool, they are all non-objects. Okay, that's what we have. Questions about this? Now, what does this one do? You have to draw the memory model. So you have list one is pointing to 1, 2, 3. List two is pointing to 4, 5, 6. And list 3 equals to list 1. Basically, you are saying list 3 is pointing to the same object as list 1. So list 3, 2 equals to list 2, 1. List 3, 2, which is this value, is changed into list 2, 1. List 2, 1 is 5. Be careful, everything is 0 indexed. List 2, 1, which is this thing, equals to list 1, 1. List 1, 1 is 2. Then you say list 3 equals to 7, 8, 9. List 3 is pointing to 7, 8, 9. Right? You create a new list. And you print out list 1, list 2, list 3. List 1 would be 1, 2, 5. List 2 is 4, 2, 6. List 3 is 7, 8, 9. Okay. So that's the memory model. Any questions about this part? All right. Next one, function calls, right? When you have function calls, just remember you always go back to a caller, right? So the first thing is I call bar2. When I call bar2, y is 2. So the first thing I do before I do anything is I call full bar by passing in 8 to this one. And in here I print out x, which is 8, and then I call full. And then I see 8. Once I finish full, I come back here. And once full bar is done, I come back here. Then I say print y, I will see a 2, and I call foo again. Foo will be print out a, and then come back, and then we'll come back here. So bar 2 would give me 8a, 2a. Just remember, you always go back to your caller. Whoever called you, you go back to where that was. That's the first round, right? The second round, erase these messy arrows. Okay. Now, the second round I call full bar 3. I immediately jump over here, right? So x is 3. I print out x, which is 3, and then I call full, which is a. Come back here, come back here. So it'll be 8a, 2a, 3a. That is the output for function calls. Any questions? Go back to the caller. Okay. All right. Now the next thing, memory model, right? Memory model. When you have memory model in here, you really want to say, I have the stack frames, right? For each function call, a stack frame is created. Once that function call is done, the stack frame is destroyed, right? So that's what we have in here. Let's take a look at this one together. So first thing, test 5. First thing, test 5. Okay. What we have is you have these two functions. One is called test, the other is called mystery. First thing, test 5. There's a global frame. There's a global. You're gonna first create this thing called test by passing in 5 to it. So num equals to 5, right? And then you check. If num is less than 10, you print a. And that's it. So I print a, and then remember this if else if is together. And then I also need to evaluate this if, right? So it's not like you finish this whole thing. If else if is together, and then num is less than 10, so I'll also print out C. So this one would print out AC. And then this function stack frame is done. And then I call test 10 again. A new frame is created. Num will be 10. Right, num would be 10. And then coming here, that's false. But this is true. So I will print out 20. I'll print out 20. So I'll print out B. And then this if statement is false. So I'll only print out B here. And then I'm done. Test 15 again. So num have a value of 15 now. Come here, print out B, and that's it. Okay. And then we say person equal to Jane Doe. This person is Jane Doe. Length is 8. Right? And then I call mystery person. I pass in person to it. So name would have Jane Doe, just like what we have in here is passed by value, right? Global length, it means I want to use length, but this length is referring to the length in the global frame. Okay, so if this is the case, what we have is we say length equals to 7. That would erase this 8 into a 7. If the length of the name, which is Jane Doe, I think has 8 characters here, right? So gender will have 8 characters. If it's bigger than length, length is now 7, so 8 is bigger than 7, so that's true. You'll print out 8a. This would print out 8a. Okay. And then I'm done with the mystery function. So mystery function, in fact, would also have its own stack frame. And then once I come back from mystery, I'll print out the length, which is 7. So how many stack frames I have created? Global, 3 test, 1 mystery. So it'll be 5 stack frames. 5 stack frames. Okay. Any questions? This one. So just remember, every function call would create a stack frame, and every time the variables you created in the function start fresh. Okay. Right. That's the first thing. Now, let me see if we have pictures. We have very little amount of pictures in here. So next thing, 2D list of tuples. I have this 2D list of tuples. What's the value of this thing, right? So if you look at it, all right. Let's see. What's the value of length? Image 1. Image 1 is this thing. What's the length of it? 2. Okay. What's the length of image 1, 1? Image 1 is this one. Image 1, 1 is this thing. So the length of this tuple is 3. How many red pixels are in here? Which is 255,000. This one is, and that's it. I think there's only 1 red pixel. Okay, so just be careful. If I say length of image, this will be 4. This will be 4. Okay. Any questions? Questions for this one? All right. Now this one is like off by 1 errors, right? We've seen this in our midterm and sector. We want to create a black box of W by H. Width is W, height is H. So we just want to make sure we are never out of bound. If you look at 2 values in here, like A to B, right? So range A to B. If B is bigger than A, then the exact width is B minus A would be the exact width. That's what it is. So in here, range I row is the height, so H plus 1. This basically means 0 to H plus 1. So this one is H plus 1 by W plus 1. So this one doesn't work. In here, H plus 10 minus 10, that's exactly H. H by W, this one works. Right? This one is also H by W. This one works. For the negative index, you just have to be a little bit careful. So if the index is -1, you can also do the subtraction, right? H minus 0. But just to be safe, because you don't always end with 0. So if the step size is -1, you can just do the subtraction, H minus 0. That will basically be it. That's the height, right? So it's H by W. this would work. This only works if the step size is +1 or -1. Okay. If this is h minus 1 to 0, if you look at it, this is basically h minus 1 by w minus 1. Okay. So this one doesn't work. This part, rho in w, so this is a w by h, not h by w. So this one doesn't work. Although it's a box, but it's kind of rotated box. Any questions about this? Okay. Questions about this? All right, next one. I think we're almost all done with this. Final. This is a short final. Image processing. We want to complete the function that will mirror a given image from bottom to top. You must complete it in column measure. Column measure means you must process the picture column by column. And column measure basically indicates the outer loop should be about each column, right? So if we are mirroring from bottom to top, the mirror point should be half of the height, divided by 2, right? Half of the height. And the outer loop should be about columns, So if you look at the picture, so I want to say for each of the columns, right, we'll process it. So it means you have to go through the width first. For J in range of image width, for I in the range of bottom top, means from mirror point to the height, from the middle point to the height, we specify this region. And we grab the RGB, and now where do I copy it to? It's going to be the same column, but the row number is image height minus I minus 1. That's it. Right, so this is a fairly straightforward mirroring. We talk about this in class. Okay. Any questions about this? All right, so this is the idea. So make sure that you understand column measure means you must go through the rows. In fact, if you flip these two nested for loops, the result will be the same. But if the outer loop is about for each row, then that's a row measure. If the outer loop is about for each column, it's a column measure. Okay. All right. Let's push through these remaining 3 questions, and then we can call it a day, most likely. So write out the values of each x after you do the operations. You can assume that x is this thing to start with. X equals x, right shift 2. If you right shift, the last 2 bits are gone, right? So the last 2 bits are gone. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. You append 2 zeros on the left side. That's going to be the value of x. If you do an AND operation, you just have to align them together. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. You do the AND. Anything AND with 0 equal to 0. That's it. So otherwise, it's 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's the answer. Okay, you have to make sure you align them properly. For OR, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. You do the OR operation. And whenever you see a 1, the result will be 1. 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. That's the answer. So bitwise AND, bitwise OR. Any questions about this? All right. So this is the bitwise. Now dictionary, right? So you're just looking at these operations on the dictionary. So length of salary will be 3. Salary 200, I'm looking for a key 200. This is going to be an error. Salary Rick would return 300. Salary 0 is going to be an error. You cannot index into a dictionary. You can index into a list. 100 in salary, that will be false, right? So 100, we have to look for key. Basically, it's checking, is 100 a key in this dictionary? The answer is no. Mia in dictionary, that's going to be true, right? That's what we have for this part. Any questions? All right. The last exercise in here, we'll complete the function that takes the data already obtained from tech diversity and calculate the average percentage of a specific category for all the companies. For example, this is exactly what we just wrote, isn't it? So given the data, given this white category, is going to return average for all the white employees for all the companies. So we import it. We already have the tech diversity loaded in. We call this average function. So first, total should be 0. The total number of rows is the length of data. And for every element in the data, this is basically a row, right? So for each row in the data, we want to obtain the value. Just make sure you remember you need to typecast data in this category. And I need to add it to total plus equals to well, right? Increase it. In the end, I just divide total by num of rows to get the average. That's it. Okay. So this is the idea. Any questions about this? So that's, I think that's the last question for this final. Then we finish everything for 8A. Okay. Are there any specific questions folks want to ask about the final, about anything? All right. So let me just reiterate the important things for this week. So today we finish everything. Thursday's class is totally optional. I'll be here. If you have questions, you come in and ask. Otherwise, you don't have to come for class on Thursday. Okay. Our final is Saturday. Our lab is tomorrow. TA is due by Sunday night. Okay. So those are the three things you have to do this week. And then um, I will report your letter grade by Tuesday, I guess. So do you think we will need to take up all 3 hours? I would bank 3 hours for it. Okay. It's very hard for me to estimate how long it's going to take someone to finish the final. It may take someone 20 minutes. It may take someone a long time. I simply don't know. So I would reserve 3 hours. Okay. Is it around the same length? No, I think it's longer, actually, than this one. This one is a fairly short final. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Then I think we can call it a day today. Okay. So don't drop the ball. Keep everything in order. Um, if you have questions, come to see me on Thursday. It's all multiple choice. The final exam is all multiple choice. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.